Good afternoon. I'm Charlie Decker, or Char, as I'm known by Ned. Always was and always will be. And he's Uncle Ned. He was never Ned, and that defines our very special relationship. Char, do this. Char, think about that. Do this. I was flattered when Emily called me to ask me if I would share some thoughts about Ned, especially after we started the foundation in the Dominican Republic. And she said, try to keep it in 15 minutes. And I thought, wow. Then today at lunch, she said, try to keep it in 10. So I have to speak quickly. But I also know that our dear Ned, somewhere in the galaxy, being the audio freak that he was and is monitoring every word that's coming out of here. So speak clearly. Ned, we're on the same wavelength. Always will be because of you. There are about 3 chapters in my life as they relate to Ned, and really just underline the incredible person that he was and is, and the influence he has had and has on everybody. Somebody recently said, be careful, always act like somebody is watching you, because they are, and that you could do an individual poll of everybody here of what their opinion was of Ned, a 2-minute piece, and do them privately, put them together, every word would be the same. In 90% of the cases, that's not the case. Ned was the epitome of consistency. He was focused, he was pure, his priorities, his values, no questions about them. I first met Ned, the Decker family. My mother was Ned's older sister who just died last year after celebrating her 100th birthday with a lot of love and care from Emily and Ned and the entire Wallace family and friends. But we all grew up in Bethlehem, and we lived on 5th Avenue. Ned and the family lived on 14th Avenue, and he was in this wonderful family of a lot of estrogen, and we were in this family of a lot of testosterone. There were 3 boys, and he was living with 5 sisters. Ned, being a great athlete and a good friend, would come down, and I have an older brother, Tom, a younger brother, Marshall, and an older brother, Jody. And we were kids. Ned was our best friend and big brother. Phenomenal athlete, loved that, and he was a teacher. So that our love of sports really started with Ned. I became a wrestling fanatic. You can't learn to wrestle unless you know Ned or hang out at Lehigh University or something. That's tennis, swimming, and he was so much of a big brother for us. Then we all went to the Trinity Church camp, choir camp, and Ned was a counselor there with a couple of his buddies. He was just in Lehigh at this point. Ned then was the same person he was last month. He was caring, he was a teacher, and he had that wonderful little bit of a swagger that I tried to duplicate when I was pregnant, but I didn't do very well. But that was Uncle Ned, and always will be. As his life evolved with his family, and I'll say a lot of the time if I don't mention Emily every time, but she is part of every sentence when I say Ned. As his life evolved, everything that his life became was in partnership in every way with Emily, and he'd be the first one to tell you, and everybody else would as well. Fast forward after Ned, when Ned went to medical school, I used to go down and spend weekends with him, clipping articles out of the medical books and just learning and understanding Ned and looking over his shoulder. And that special bond that occurred, of course, in that, and we always played tennis. Then, as the Wallace family and the Deckers all started to get together and organize collections of medical supplies to send to Ned and Emily and the family down in Nicaragua, that really was the first experience of doing that type of effort, and was a wonderful experience for young kids. And we were growing up in Buffalo, Pennsylvania. We didn't really understand that world. Fast forward, I too also went to Penn. I went to graduate school at Wharton, and Ned and I had some programs in conjunction with that. And then I went to New York, started a career in advertising that went there very well. But every time Ned would visit, I'd be kind of embarrassed about Ned. I said, I really think I'd rather like to do what you're doing, and maybe I'll just bag this whole advertising thing and go to medical school. He'd say, Char, you're too old for medical school. I think I was 26 or 27. And he said, you don't have to be a doctor to help. So that really stuck. He just said, you know, try to find a point in your life where you can leave the corporate world and move on and do this effort that you have been talking about and participating in. That was shortly after that. I then went and visited Ned and Emily and whoever was in Swaziland at that time, certainly Allison and Gretchen and Julian, and saw firsthand the hospital and the caring in the program. And clearly, you did not have to be a doctor to pitch in. I came back and started to wrap up my corporate career, and it started some new businesses that gave me the freedom to pretty much do what I... So I started scouting around the Caribbean. I like the Spanish-speaking Caribbean. I loved it down there. Dear people, there was a great need, a lot of poverty, and especially with children. And then I thought, well, maybe this is the place I can do it. I'd spent time in Cuba, but the political situation made it impossible to be helpful there. So I started looking for an orphanage. I didn't have the money or the strong enough Spanish to be able to do a startup, as they would say. So I was looking for an orphanage that we could find and help out. And that I just, reading notes last night, I realized the key date for me, really the epiphany, was when Ned gave his speech at Moravian, when he received that honor in 2004. I sat in that audience, I said, Charlie, you gotta do something. Stop talking about it or do something. And his speech at that Moravian, I said, how do you give a PhD to an MD? That's like, you know, Dr. Squared. But it was a very moving ceremony, and it was in a very large event, and I said, I've really got to put this in motion. A couple of weeks later, I'd started to scout around in the Dominican Republic, where I had an apartment at that point. I went out for a run on a Saturday afternoon, on a day like today, on a very busy street, and that I thought it'd be pretty safe. It was a sunny day. It was on a highly traveled area. Two guys on a motorbike who looked like a couple of Moravian students kind of pulled up behind me. I've lived in New York for 40 years. I can spot trouble 10 minutes before it arrives. And these guys both had helmets on, and that I made a stop to use my cellular to pass me or whatever, and then the guy pulls out a 45, and he has a helmet on. He said, "Dame some more." Even if he spoke slowly, I didn't know what he would be saying. So it was like a Woody Allen film, being held up by a guy with a helmet on in Spanish, and my hearing was starting to go south. So he's trying to say, give me your mobile. I had literally just finished taking a 3-week course that the NYPD and FBI gave in New York on self-defense. I knew every maneuver, how to handle everything, and they tell you one thing, if a guy ever puts a gun in your stomach, you do whatever he has to, you can take care of him later. But when the adrenaline hits your head, you're all thought. So I'm trying to buy time, thinking somebody would see what was going on, and I'm backing away. And these guys are looking at me. This has got to be the dumbest gringo. Then he had a 45, so he cocks it. Dame some more. And I'm like, I'm hoping somebody would say, nothing's happening. With that, they took off. Somebody theorized, it's a very poor country, but they may not have had bullets, at any rate. I went home that night, and I had found an orphanage a day earlier that I thought they really need help. And I fell on my knees, and I promised the good Lord I was going to. That's a true story, and that key date from Reagan popped in mind last night, and that was beginning. And the other irony, of which my dear mother used to say, coincidence is God incognito. I went to this orphanage that somebody said desperately needed help. Went up to the front door, was introduced by friends, and the woman at the door, I said, "Where are you from?" And her English was better than my Spanish. And she said, well, I was born nearby here, but I was living in Pennsylvania. I said, I don't meet many people from Pennsylvania. And she said, where? I said, we're in Pennsylvania. She said, Bethlehem. I said, Bethlehem. I said, I grew up in Bethlehem. Where in Bethlehem? She said, Seneca Street. I said, I used to play tennis with my uncle on the courts on Seneca Street behind St. Luke's Hospital. You can't get, I said, something's happening here. So that became the beginning of adopting this orphanage at that point, which was about 60 or 70 girls and maybe 40 or 50 boys. And they really had no ongoing support. It was kind of week to week. So it's called Niños de Cristo, and I started Friends of Niños de Cristo. I called Ned. I said, what do you think? But I know what you're going to say. So this is what I want to do, and I want your blessing and then guidance. And he said, Char, go for it. As soon as the word gets out that somebody's around that is trying to help places like these orphanages or homes, half of them are just a garage with 20 kids living in the back. So that within 3 or 4 months, the embassy had asked us to visit a couple of other places, and we did. They needed help. So I reset up the foundation and made it the Charles Decker Foundation, so that we had not just Niños de Cristo, but also these other 3 and 4 orphanages. And I called Ned. I said, Ned, will you be my partner in this? I need you and want you. And he said, I'm right there. So he was one of the founding directors of the orphanage. The other was myself, and the third is the minister, a wonderful black Afro-American from my church in the East Village in New York, who has more spunk than you can imagine. When they came down and visited, it was so exciting to see how this unfolded. Fast forward, that was 12 years ago. We continue to build and expand our efforts, but you really need a big benefactor to make it happen. One of my favorite benefactors was my dear Aunt Betty, my mother's older sister. And when she was in her final years, she wrote a check for $10, the most precious $10 ever. She said, Charlie, God bless you, the work you're doing. Here's $10. There'll be a lot more when I get out of here. Fast forward to, I've already exceeded my 10 minutes, but I just wanted to, Ned was so Ned, as we would say, in every aspect of it. Every night I get these very thought-provoking emails, thoughts, questions, ideas. He was always an engineer. Thesis, theories, let's validate this. I said, no, this is not a petri dish. We got these kids need food, not testing. And but it was so wonderful to have over my shoulder. And so it's been 12 years since I started this, and it's an extraordinary journey. And the influence, Ned has not only changed my life, but hopefully the life of many that we changed. I saw very early on with Ned and his extraordinary family what a special quality it is of somebody who follows the path that he has taken, and the proof is here. Going forward, in the interest, not in the interest, to keep Ned's spirit alive and burning, our foundation is launching a scholarship fund, let me read it, for medical school, for one of the children or more of the orphanages that we support. Background, Ned Wallace, and I've got a copy of this outside, but Ned Wallace was a founding member of the Charles Decker Foundation. He was on the board of directors. I started the foundation 12 years ago. Our mission is helping indigent children, sometimes orphan children in the Dominican Republic. The Ned Wallace Medical School Scholarship. In Ned's memory, the Charles Decker Foundation is creating a scholarship for medical school in the Dominican Republic in Ned's name. The scholarship will include all expenses which will be covered, including the stipend for living costs. The recipient will commit to practicing medicine in the Dominican Republic. 2 other conditions. Number 1, the recipient will have to commit to dedicating 50% of his or her time and practice to caring for indigent children. This will be reviewed yearly. Number 2, the recipient will have to wear a patch stitched on their lab coat or medical uniform in memory of Ned Wallace, MD. So when little one looks up at the doctor, she or he will know of Ned Wallace and perhaps ask, who is Ned Wallace? Special consideration will be given to applicants who have lived in the orphanage Niños de Cristo, but we will reach out to other prospects as well. Timing, we will begin collecting contributions immediately and considering applicants. However, it is a big commitment on both sides, and it will take time. Advisors, Emily Wallace and Charlie Decker will lead the program. Additionally, the board of directors of the Decker Foundation will participate in managing the program. Charlie has a number of prominent physician friends in the Dominican Republic, as well as Dominican American physicians practicing in the U.S. They are pleased to help as ongoing advisors to the students in the programs. So Ned's legacy will live and go up many orbits, And I can only thank Emily for making this very special person grow and evolve into the beautiful person he became, and his spirit is alive and well. Gracias a Dios.